Welcome to the BladesIIB shop. You may have got here through YouTube, or maybe you clicked on a QR code on the side of a box of something that you purchased. Regardless of how you got here, welcome. Today's video, we're going to cover the basic operation of this BladesIIB folding knife. If you purchased one of these Choya knives, maybe one of the other models that I hope to have available in the future. Also quickly cover how to use this bottle opener. And I'm also going to go through how to take apart this folding knife in case you want to clean it up, oil it, maybe clean out some of your pocket lint out of there. We'll cover that. And if you purchase this knife, if you're in Canada and it came to you in 2 pieces, we'll cover how to assemble this as well. My understanding of it is this knife is perfectly legal to own in Canada. It's very similar to other knives on the market with a similar Loctite mechanism. But because of the new law passed in Canada, it is not legal to import to Canada as it is, but it is legal to manufacture, which in this case is going to be final assembly in Canada. So once you have finished that manufacturing process, it's going to be perfectly legal for you to own it in Canada. So those are the basics we're going to cover in this video. Let me get this camera turned around and let's talk through the basic operations of opening and closing this knife. A couple different ways that you can do that. Let's take a look. Well, first for the bottle opener, I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but you never know. So the beak is the bottle opener part. You can either put it on here this way and pull up on it. You can put it across the bottle that way, and you can hook it and pull it up towards you. Alcohol's got no place in the shop, so we're not going to open that up in here, but I think you've got it figured out. So if you purchased one of these bottle openers, thank you for doing that. That is how that works. Alright, if you purchased one of these folding knives with the BladesIIB lock, most of them are going to be designed to be a front flipper, so you can grab the knife. Got plenty to hold on to on both sides, and that's just going to flip open. Most important thing is make sure you don't have your thumb right by this slide lock mechanism on either side, or don't have your finger on that on the back side, because if you have your finger or thumb on one of those, then it's not going to allow that to move back, and won't matter how hard you pull, it's going to be really, really hard to open. So that's one way to open that. To close it, you need to pull back the lock mechanism on both sides, and once you do that, the blade's going to release, come back down, and close up. So again, probably the easiest way to open it, make sure your thumb and finger are not pushing on any of those buttons. Flip that open, knife opens, pull back, and you can close that up. So you can also do this as a thumb flip. So you can flip that with your thumb instead of your finger if you want to. So if you're going to do it as a thumb flip, you're going to kind of hit it with your thumb and flip your wrist over at the same time. Sort of that motion right there, and you can get it to pop open, close, same way. So again, get it with your thumb, flip your wrist at the same time, and you can pop it open that way. Finally, you can just grab it with your other hand if you want to, and you can just pull it open. And if you want to close it with 2 hands, you can hold it with 1 hand, and you can slide both of those back with this hand and push down a little bit with your hand. So you can pull it open, push it back. Just wanted to clarify that this knife is not spring assisted opening. It is mechanical. You have to operate that flipper tab with your finger or your thumb to get it to open. Also want to clarify that the tension on the ball, the detent holding the knife closed, is strong enough that you're not able to shake this knife and get it to pop open. So you do have to engage that flipper tab, or you have to pull it open. You're not able to shake it out. So it even makes a good fidget toy if you want to. You can just sit there, practice flicking it like you'd flick a lighter. Flick it and open it. You can just sit there and flick it into your finger, flick it and close it. This one is not sharp right now, so of course if it is sharp, make sure you're being careful with it. But that's the basic operation of this knife. Now, let's go ahead and take this apart, talk about what you can do to clean it up inside, lube it a little bit, and then of course we'll talk through how to reassemble it if you got this in 2 pieces. Let's get it broken down. So in order to take this apart, you're going to need 2 Torx screwdrivers. You're going to need a T6 and a T15. I recommend Wiha. They're great screwdrivers. Really going to make sure they take care of your screws and not slip. So first thing, most important when you're going to take it apart, is put it into the open position. Again, if the knife is sharp, make sure you're being careful with that. And you're going to take out the main pivot screw, and you're going to take out these other 3 screws right here. You can take the cover off. If you take the cover off, there's a pin and a spring under there. You really don't need to. You can get a drop of oil in there through the open slot while the knife is open if you need to get a little bit of lube in there, but At some point, if you feel you need to clean it up in there, you can take out those 3 screws, and not too difficult. You do not need to unscrew this pin. Would really recommend you don't do that. I've got a special tool that I use to put those on. A little bit hard to put those back on if you take that off. So you just have to remove those 3 screws. So let's get this pivot screw out of here. And we'll get our other 3 screws out. Alright, now that we've got our screws out of there, it should come apart fairly easy. You can see the pins are already falling through. Now there are a couple of small pieces in there, so be careful. This one's not going to fall out of there. But that's all there is to breaking it down. There is a small ball in there. You're going to want to make sure you don't lose that. And there's a washer on the back side of that cover. And of course you have your spacers, and then you've got the pins that hold that together. So that's it to get this apart. If you purchase this in Canada, the blade is going to be off. There's another ball here on the back side, and that's just going to pop out of the hole like that. There is a bushing on here. You can take that off if you want to oil underneath, lube any of that up. But if you purchased it in 2 pieces, it's going to come with that bushing in place and both of those thrust washers in there. And it's going to come with the spacers, and it's going to be screwed together essentially just like it was with no blade. And with these 2 balls removed over here. So you'll get the blade and the 2 balls in a separate package. So to reassemble it, all we're going to do is you can put a drop of lube down here on the back side of that pin if you want. Maybe if you cleaned up the washers, if you cleaned any of this up, re-lubricate that. Going to drop a ball in place. Put the blade on top. Get it on that ball. Put your other ball on top there. And the washer, you can either leave it, if the oil's kind of holding it on the back of this plate, you can leave it there, or you can set it on top. So we're going to get that ready, and here's where you need to get a few extra fingers going. We're going to put these pins back in. Hold those from the back side with your finger, and you're going to want to get all of your spacers back in place. Make sure that washer's still in place. Set the cover up on top of that ball. Lock these back in on those spacers. Again, the blade needs to be open during this part of reassembly. Get that pivot screw, but we're not going to go super tight on that. Just get that where it's snug. Keep your fingers on the back side of these so that those pins don't fall out while you're trying to get it together. And if you line the screw up, well, like I say, if you can get the screw so that it's lined up nice, usually these will just go in with just your finger pressure there on the back. Yes, I've got that just snug. Same thing, just kind of spin it backwards a bit, get it nice and lined up. Going to go right in there, get that snug. Now this one, you can usually get it without having to take the pocket clip off. So get that started lightly, and yes, we got lucky this time, it went in no problem. If you're having a little bit of trouble and that's pushing back, I usually just take a pin, and I'll just put a pin on the back side of that, something plastic, hold that screw a little bit, just a little bit of pressure, and you can hold that in place and you can get that screw started. So now those screws are all just snug. At this point I'm going to pull that back, I'm going to close the blade, and once the blade is closed, I'm going to go and tighten this up. Now this runs on a bushing, so these are designed for this pivot to go fairly snug. You can check the action out. But you should be able to tighten those up fairly snug. They are designed to run where you can adjust that action if you want it a little bit looser than how I've got it set up on that bushing. You could leave that just a little bit loose as well, but I try to set them up so that they run fairly snug and you don't have any play in there. So now that's back together, and we should be back in operation. Got a little bit of fresh oil in there, so you can see that that wants to stay a little bit up in the closed position, give it a little bit more of a shake, or of course you can give that a push down to break it, get those balls moving. That's it. There's your triple BS knife lock. Put together if you needed to assemble it, or taken apart, lubed up if you needed to give it a little bit of a cleanup. Well, YouTube, that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed watching how to take this triple BS knife lock apart, how to operate it. If you've purchased one of these knives, hey, I hope you're going to enjoy it for years to come. If you haven't purchased one, you can check out my website, www.BladesIIB.com, BladesIIB.com, and see if I have some of these available. Hope to have more available in late December, and then through 2022, I'll try to be getting more of these out on a regular basis. You can also see an entire video series on how this knife was made. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel or just get on there and check out the other videos. There's 6 parts going through how I manufactured and how I made every step, every piece of this knife. Hope you enjoy that. Until next time, y'all take care.